welcome back. This is 2 weeks in a row that we've started videos out with my beautiful face. My hair is not too beautiful today, so we're just gonna stick this up there. As you saw on the title of this video, we're gonna be doing some paintings, some art on school supplies. I grew up pretty poor, so I got a lot of like the really cheap, boring art supplies. But I wanted the cool aesthetic stuff, you know, Tumblr stuff. And so I would buy the really cheap stuff and do like DIYs, and I loved watching school supply DIYs around back to school. So I was like, dude, why don't I make all those videos, except make it more art-centered and less like DIY kind of kitschy stuff, if that makes sense. So rather than like making a collage on the front of these notebooks, I'm going to be actually like painting like actual like illustrations and things like that. I got 3 things to kind of draw on or paint on in this video. So I spent under $2 on these 3 things because, you know, I really wanted it to represent the penny pincher lifestyle, if you will. So first things first is this plain black folder. I wanted to make sure I didn't get any plastic things because they probably wouldn't hold paint all too well. And it was 15 cents. And then we have a composition notebook. These are my favorites. Oh, I love the way this smells. So this last item is a little bit of a oddball. I opted for this little box here. It like snaps open and then the lid comes down. It says it's a crayon box, so it's like the perfect size to fit like a pack of crayons. Or if you're not into crayons, I feel like a sticker collection could go in here. I feel like there's a bunch of things that could go in here. And this was only $1. Oh, I forgot to mention. This was 50 cents. This was 15 cents. And this was $1. So we spent, what, $1.65? Let's go ahead and we're just gonna jump into going to the desk, getting some art done, and I'm probably gonna do a lot of voiceovers for this. Before we jump into anything else, stay tuned to the end because there will be a giveaway. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started on this composition notebook. So here you can see I'm just taking some painter's tape and I am lining out all 4 edges because I want to reserve some of that composition notebook texture print because it's a classic. So inside of the paint, or inside of the tape, I'm going to be painting in a layer of wet acrylic. I do multiple layers. This is what it looked like after 1 layer, and then here's what it looked like after 4 layers of acrylic paint. I probably could have used a 5th, but I was it's just taking forever. So I was like, you know what, screw it, let's do it. And then I peeled away the painter's tape. It's a very satisfying process. As you can see here, I wanted to really keep some of that composition notebook texture. It's such a classic. And I now have a nice little drawing kind of like canvas area. And yeah, so I started going in with my sketch to keep this video a little shorter. Just gonna kind of skip through the sketching process, and my sketch ended up looking like this. Cool. So I decided to use Posca paint pens to color in this because it was kind of on the smaller side, and I felt like if I used acrylic paints, you know, I personally don't have a lot of control when I'm doing super small acrylic paintings with a paintbrush, but the Posca pens, you know, they're paint, but they give you that more control because it's in a pen format. And I got some color palette inspiration off of Pinterest. I saw a lot of really cute Posca pen drawings where they did the base color in yellow, but then did all the shading in this pink color, and then the darkest shading in blue. And I thought it was just beautiful. So I decided to kind of interpret that in my own way here with this broski in a beret wearing a nice turtleneck sweater. Yeah, so here you can see I'm adding in the pink onto the skin tone. I was a little nervous because I was like, ooh, this is like, it's gonna be super contrasting. I was so worried it wouldn't look good. I knew it looked good in all the stuff I saw online, but yeah, I was just worried it wouldn't work for me for whatever reason. And then I'm going in with the light blue to do the undertone of the hair, as well as that square outside of him that kind of frames him up. I end up expanding that background square because it was kind of awkward, the shape it is that you see here. And then I do all of my dark fine lining in a dark royal blue as opposed to black, so that it's a little less harsh, and there's already so much black going around the outside of the drawing on the actual notebook itself. And then I go in with the white and do some of those highlights, which is to me one of the most important things, and it can really make a drawing when you get those fresh highlights. Then here I am going in with my metallic gold Posca pen, and I do all of the little sunbeams behind him, as well as some cute little freckles. Here's me trying to show off the reflective gold. And yeah, I add in my signature, and that's it. I really love how this turned out, so I think I'm gonna put it on my Redbubble, link in the description. So now we're starting the crayon box sort of thing. So I had some scrap canvas that I went ahead and painted a layer of a white acrylic on it, and then I kind of just felt out the edge of the lid to find out what shape I needed it to be, and I just marked that out with a pencil, and then I cut it out to shape. Of course I waited until after the acrylic paint was dry to do all of this, and it fit like really nice and perfectly on that lid. And yeah, I didn't want to paint it while it was still on there, so I didn't glue it down quite yet, and just went ahead and started painting. So for this one, I really wanted to do a landscape, kind of like Bob Ross-esque, because I wanted to, you know, that first one was very graphic, very illustrative, very kind of like modern, and I was like, you know what, let's, you know, feed two different demographics here, and let's also just do like a nice classic, realistic, like landscape painting. So yeah, here we've already done the sky, and I'm working in on some clouds. I kind of edged out the bottoms with some purple just to give it a little pizzazz. And here I am going in and kind of lining out some of the mountains and, you know, putting in some of them snow caps on top of the mountains. Nothing too crazy, just some typical Bob Ross techniques. And then here, going in, putting in some green. And yeah, I kind of wish I kept the foreground a little more simple and let those mountains kind of speak for themselves. Like, I think where the painting is at like right now looks really nice, but I decided I wanted to add some trees. As you can see, I put in a couple trunks right there just to kind of like give me an idea where I wanted my trees to be. But my issue with the trees was that I wasn't like, it was such a small painting that I didn't really want to like go through all this trouble to like mix up all of these shades and colors. It was just so small, and like everything was just kind of starting to blend together as I was doing the trees, and I just needed a little bit more definition, so I brought out my Posca pens because they have such a fine tip. It's that same issue I had with the first one, that reason I didn't want to use brushes as I use the pens, because they kind of give you some finer details that I wasn't able to get with my paint brushes. Everything felt really muddy. As you can see, those trees on the right, like you can barely figure out like one tree from the other. I think at the end this turned out pretty good, especially once I started going in there with the Posca pens and really kind of like, especially here with the white, like kind of just defining like some highlights and stuff. At the end of the day, it was because I just didn't have enough contrast in the drawing, or in the painting. But, you know, I had to kind of work through that, and eventually I was happy with it, happy enough with it. And here's kind of what it looks like sitting on top of the tub. I don't record myself gluing it down, but just trust that I glued it down. You'll see it at the end. But yeah.
So after doing those last two kind of more complex projects, I was a little tired, so I decided to do something a little more simple, but I used the same color palette that I did on the composition notebook. So I wanted to do some flowers, and also I felt like if you're not super good at art, you know, and you're at home watching this and you're like, well, I want like to do something really cool, I feel like this design pattern is definitely way more approachable to the, you know, the average person watching at home that might not feel confident enough to, you know, do a landscape. So yeah, I just kind of do these blobs in colors and then kind of mark out where I want to put these leaves, as you can see here, and then all of a sudden, boom, I've got all these leaves. Sorry, it's really washed out there up in the top left corner. So you can't really see what I'm doing here, and sadly I just like didn't think about it when I was filming because I just kind of get into the art and I'm not always paying attention to my camera. I'm trying to like block out this like line work around the blobs that I did in a darker shade of blue in order to like create a flower pattern. I guess you can see what I'm doing a little bit better in this clip that I sped it up. And so I'm just doing that with the pink and the blue. I put down a lighter shade of blue in a blob and then went over it. And then I'm doing kind of a similar thing here with the leaves. I did like a really light, like limey yellowy color and then did a dark on top. And then once again, to bring in the composition notebook, I felt like I needed to put a pop of gold. So I'm here outlining that like little nameplate part of the folder in gold. And I felt like this wasn't super exciting, but I felt like it looked nice enough and they look good next to each other because they're of the same color palette. And then I put this crystal clear spray on top coat on top of both of them just to protect the Posca pen and keep it from flaking.
Now the part you've all been waiting for, the giveaway. So let's start by going through what you're going to be getting in this giveaway. First and foremost, the composition book that I did the drawing on. You'll also be getting the crayon box lid with the landscape painting on it. The folder with the flowers that are done in the same color as composition notebook, so they kind of match. So you saw all three of those things in the video, but I'm going to throw in a few other goodies. We've got this Art Made Daily pin, which you can buy on my website, link in the description. This pair of earrings that I handmade myself out of polymer clay. A macrame keychain, again handmade by me. The earring and the keychain I don't sell on my website. I do sell other macrame products on my website. So those two are kind of an exclusive. You can only ever get them if I'm at an art to walk sort of situation here in my town. And then last but not least, you'll be getting a set of 5 art themed stickers. This is available on my website for $10, so if you are interested in them, check out the link in my description. So now you're wondering, how do I get all of this stuff? Wow. So I'm gonna keep it pretty simple. Just, you know, subscribe to my channel. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit subscribe. And then leave a comment. The comment can be about whatever you want, but if you're at a loss of words and you just don't really know what to talk about in the comment, go ahead and tell me when you start school and what subject you would use the journal on. Now, you don't have to be a student to enter the giveaway. I know there's a lot of adults out there that have a job that involves a lot of writing and stuff, and you might need that stuff too, so just go ahead and talk about that kind of stuff. I don't really care. You could just talk about what you had for breakfast for all I care. One thing though is, because this is my first ever giveaway and I'm not really making money off of YouTube, so I can't afford to send anything international. So hopefully by doing this giveaway I'll be getting more subscribers, and I'll make that benchmark where I can start putting ads on my videos, and then hopefully in the future
near future, I'll be able to do a international giveaway as well. But for now, let's just keep it US based entries. I'm sorry. So in case all of that was too much for you to take in at once, the details will be in the description for the giveaway. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week with a brand new video.